Hello and welcome to Arc of Fire Gaming Network. I am your host, Arc of Fire. And today we're doing something a little different for our interviews. We have a returning guest, the one, the only modern day bard, AwaBeats. And today we are going to be talking all about his bardness, so to speak, and the music that he loves to produce. Because I heard about it, I listened to it, and I dare say, fallen in love with it because it's an amazing set of music. It fits my profile of the music I like to listen to. If you watch the interview I did with him, the second one for Behind the Roleplay, we actually ended the stream with his music because I was so impressed with it. So we are going to speak with him today, and let's just get right on over to it. What is up, Mr. AwaBeats?
Hi, how's it going?
It's going good, man. It's good to see you again.
You too, you too.
So you're pretty much going to be leading the show here, and I'm going to be fawning over your music, so to speak, without sounding weird. So tell us a little bit about you, the modern day bard that we didn't hear last time from Behind the Roleplay interview, but focused on your music.
Mm. Yeah, so for all those who don't know the music I make, I personally have never really claimed a genre, if I'm being honest. I more say I just make, you know, EDM for the most part because it encompasses a lot of it, but I make instrumentals, beats, sometimes I make dubstep, sometimes I currently am right now I'm making a whole bunch of like vaporwave music. And so that's my new thing I'm really into right now. And I just like to just dabble in a bunch of areas. I've always when it comes to music, I've always wanted to have an album that makes a story.
Right.
Has always been my idea. So sometimes it'll start someplace and it'll end somewhere completely different than we began with. And that's just always the way it's always turned out for me that I always want to make it actual like a almost like you're watching like listening to a movie. I like me stepping into inspiration. I think it comes from Daft Punk, which is like one of
Mm.
my biggest inspirations and one of my favorite music groups. To where their album, was it Humans? I think no, Discovery. Humans is a song in there. Discovery. The whole album is like 40 minutes, but it is also a movie it's an actual movie, which has this whole entire thing. I'll let the listeners be able to actually watch it on their own because personally I think it's phenomenal. It's one of the
Right.
best pieces I've ever listened to and seen.
Yeah. So I've heard of EDM, but I've never heard of Vapoid. What is that?
Vaporwave is it's style of EDM in which generally Vaporwave even has areas where it takes a lot from like old school, like generally like funk and disco and like house music. And the area of vaporwave I'm doing is called future funk, where we sample a lot of funk tracks
Mm.
and turn it into house songs.
Yeah.
And so, for instance, if you listen to the recent one, all the ones like what is it, Kyoto Arcade, Yokohama Radio, and what is it? I think something Osaka. Those are all like future funk songs that I
Okay.
made.
All right.
And so I got a whole entire like sample library to use, found some great just stuff to just grab from, and decided to throw it in there and see what I can make out of it. And so a lot of it comes from if you, for instance, like Daft Punk is a good idea of what future funk is. It's not exactly it because they did future funk before its time.
Right.
I would still classify them as a house artist usually. If anyone modern, if you want to just listen to just idea, besides myself, I'll just listen to Young Bay, a great guy who I also take inspiration from when it came to this album and these songs.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. So what besides the inspiration that you have, like what what makes you thump? What makes you go, "Hell yeah, that's it right there." What does that? Is there one thing? Is it many things? But let's talk about that. What makes you thump, bro?
If it's something that makes me thump, like it of course, like it ironically, it has to be the beat for me. The beat has always been just something that I've been interested in, and it's usually what I sometimes try to start with if I can. Or usually if I don't start with it, it's I find a melody I love and the beat just comes to me after that. I've always been like fascinated by playing the drums.
Yeah.
I know a little bit of it myself. I played the cajon like by trade, actually. But it's always the beat because there's like when it comes to like just percussion, it's much more different than like playing a saxophone, the flute, the guitar, because even as a very, I guess you can call it monotone instrument, it
Right.
has different like thresholds and levels. Like a well, for instance, like if you have like a bass drum, it's deep and low. The timbres are even like lower and have a little bit of harmonics to it. Snares very high, but and even like world percussionists like bongos, conga drums, those even actually then beginning to different make different kind of notes, steel drums. Like so, it's always been the beat, and that's
Mm.
always caught me by attention. If it put anything under it, just a good bass line. Like a good bass line, we're gonna go crazy.
Yeah. Do you have anything that you can share with us right now that would be like, if you had to pick one song in your repertoire that was you,
Hmm.
do you have one like that, or even somewhat close to that? And
That would signify like that's me,
right,
right?
like
Or
if
like
you had to take a cassette to a label and be like, this is AwaBeats, and they
yeah.
had one track to listen to, elevator pitch. Do you have one that you would pick out of everything you've done? And let's listen to it.
I got you. Let's pull this here. I have a whole lot of music I can go through. But if we were to say one that would be me, I think I know one that I would love that would always be one that I'm actually really proud of. It's not one that's super popular, but it's one that I love.
Okay, all right, and yeah, well, let's hear what album it's on, the track name, and we can already shift over to your editor if you've got that up, and take a gander at it. You just let me know.
All right, yeah, let me pull it up. So you're actually looking at currently another track. We'll get into that later though. But if we're talking about something that I'm really proud of, let's see here. And I'll be honest, I have so much music that
No, I
I remember.
imagine you do, man. I mean, how long have you been creating?
I've been making music since I want to say 13, and I'm about to be 24. So it's been about 11 years that I've been making
Nice.
music for. And here we go. Let me see here. Let's see if this is it. Um, yeah, cool.
All right, you ready? I'm gonna shift over.
Yeah, go ahead on shift.
All right, we're looking at it.
It's this song is called Millions. Million actually. It's supposed to be plural. But this song, if I were to put an energy into it, this comes from my previous album, the Quarantine Tape, to which in its name was a tape that I made during the whole entire quarantine. And this came along during a really high tension air part of when the quarantine was happening, where
Right.
a lot of political justice was being put out. And this song, when I made it, was kind of like the outcry of the people that I was here. Like, what if I could think of anything?
Right.
Where parts of it are like, kind of like a melancholy melody to where it's like, there's some sadness into it. And then when the beat drops, just tension. And it's just like, shouting at the people. And so
I am loving this. I am loving this
Yeah.
right now.
it's one of my favorite ones. And this is actually a lot of where I can show you where I do little sampling for a lot of it. Sampling's one of my favorite things where, like Daft Punk again, where I found out you can actually do this kind of stuff and make beautiful songs. And some of this was just me taking some probably weeks by hand actually figuring out what to play, because I can't actually play the piano. I never learned how to, but I took music theory classes in college. So when I got around to figuring out how to do music theory, I was like, I can actually make music even better now. So my music's always been good in my opinion, but I definitely stepped up the game once I started going to college and learning actually how to write music.
So how old did you say this song is?
This song is actually from last year, 2020.
Nice.
So this is about a year old now, almost exactly a year old, coming up soon.
Okay.
So you get to like just see the process of it. So if I were to go down here, this low end is actually a drum beat sample, and then I think I have a whole lot more. Let me see here. Actually, no, this is actually a live drum beat sample. The only thing that's not sampled here is actually the actual keys that are playing. And so, like right here, you have this part where I was saying, like it's kind of like the sadness of people. We have this, and then once the beat comes in, you can see it coming right here. I don't know if you see my cursor, but the red area.
Yeah.
You get that beat to come in, and people, like they rise up and get to,
Yeah, it sounds very humanizing.
Yeah. And that was, what I felt when I made it. It's like, I'm just going to keep going with it. And then I put another one in there so we can keep it going. And if I just come out a little bit more, we are drawing near towards the end. So it's less of a, I want to say, like an ending to the story, but more like, anything a cliffhanger of like, what will we do next as a people?
Yeah. You're definitely like telling a story with the music, and I totally get that. What a lot of people don't know about me is I actually used to be a concert violist.
Oh, wow.
So I understand telling a story with music, and you are totally doing that. Modern day music and being able to edit and cut it together like this is absolutely that. So this is amazing.
Thank you.
Shifting back over. All right, that really was, it spoke about the people. I heard it in there. I could hear the voices, and that drum set. There's something about that humanizing feature. Like you get that that kind of call. Even like you listen to some music. I'm watching The Witcher for the second time right now, and knowing that this interview is coming up, I'm listening closely to the music and the music choices they use. And right before they introduce the title screen or near the end, there's always throaty kind of voicey sounds to like humanize it, like you're there. And the drums in that piece did exactly that for me as I'm listening to it. And to let everybody know, that's the first time I've listened to that one too. So I loved it. That was wonderful. So what's next for us? What are we going to next?
What's next? So if I were to, let me pull up this next one for you.
All right.
There we go. It's loading in. And so this one is actually inspired from this one has a long story. And this is again from the quarantine tape, the first edition of the quarantine tape, where this song, when I was first made, I was working on a gaming project. A friend of mine invited me to be the composer for their gaming project, and this was for, if people are familiar with I forget what they're called. I think they're called like dev jams or something like that.
Okay.
And have pretty much indie game designers, or just indie designers who want to be game designers, make games within, who knows, a month, a week, 2 months, something like that. This one was supposed to be like, I think, a 3-month period for this one. It's sadly the game, we just couldn't get it together. It was just a lot of conflict to schedule, and no one was able. The people that were able to put hours into it could, and people that couldn't. And so it just, sadly, the project just fell away in the end. And I had pretty much a bunch of songs that I had halfway done that never got to be finished. And so start playing it now for you. And this song just sat there for a long time. And I started watching a D&D series from Dimension 20. It's made by the people who do College Humor. And during one of the campaigns, one of the episodes, there was a moment in which I want to give spoilers, where pretty much a big moment of betrayal happened. And during the moment of betrayal, even another moment of just dread happened.
Yeah.
And this song is pretty much signified just both of those happening, which they both happen at the same instant, is pretty much this song right here, in which I made. So we have this point in where, you're kind of learning of that betrayal. And yeah. And this moment, like, it always gets me right here. And it feels like you're falling, quite literally, I would say.
Yeah.
And At this point is where you then like the character then notices the next point of dread in his life that he could never fix again.
Right.
And yet again, drums, which I love, gets just introduced into the one more time where I get to put a little bit of just like as simple as it is,
Yeah.
just that.
That feels modern. That's the part that I like. That's like the
Yeah.
modern taste on it.
And so, and this is actually just a whole bunch of sampling and stuff again, where it's like I can't play the piano, but you know, if I can find a whole bunch of stuff that I can like splice together, I'll just do that. This right here, which I think you guys can actually see. Oh yeah, there we go. Shows a little bit of the actual handwriting I have to do when it comes to making music.
Yeah.
So I have the original trumpet part. I had to listen to it and write it myself to add a little bit of effect into it. You can't hear it because it's so like low on the register.
Yeah.
But it's there. To which if somebody was actually listening and took the time to listen to it like closely with headphones, you can hear the very small notes. And then we have the bass. Super simple. And it's like this part right here always gets me.
Yeah. That bass just spoke like 1,000 words right there.
And so, like, it's just like it's like a really sad song, honestly, for me to be honest, to what's going on. And this is like it's pretty much at the tail end of the whole entire album. To which, the album kind of speaks into itself, where there's just a lot of notes of sometimes happiness, sadness.
Yeah.
And didn't want to end with a sad note, but where it fit in is like it's just where it goes. And
yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first thought that came into my mind, and this is a credit to you, I got Cowboy Bebop feel off of it.
Oh, I love Cowboy Bebop. That is my favorite anime by far.
Yeah.
Honestly.
All right.
And that could be it. Like the song, like Cowboy Bebop has always had cool naming strategies, honestly. This one's called Ballad of the Lost. It sounds like something out of a Cowboy Bebop track because all their naming strategies are super interesting to me. And I never ever could use a really solid naming strategy when it comes to like my albums.
Nice.
But yeah, this one's Ballad of the Lost from the Quarantine Tape #1.
Nice. All right. Dude, that's oh my gosh. You guys, seriously, you need to go to awabeats.net and just get it all. Like, I'm telling you, there is nothing this man has created that you're not gonna like. I have started listening to the first album, the Quarantine one, and that's the first time I heard it, and I started going, "You got to be kidding me! This? Yes, yes." And you have like every genre in my head for like I'm seeing cyberpunk, and I'm going through, and you got like what was it, Space Cowboy or something in there at one point?
Yeah, Space Cowboy.
Yeah, and I'm just going, and then the Tokyo one, and I'm going, even the friggin' titles of them are just melting my brain. I am just loving it. Every
That's
minute
like
of it.
the longest part. I've had like songs we usually like. I had the Quarantine Tape 2 ready for probably like a month.
Yeah.
The only thing I was waiting on was for the album art, but even the whole entire time I was waiting on the album art, I had not really named any of the songs yet.
Yeah.
I just put placeholders in there because I have to save it.
Yeah.
So some of these were actually all named the same thing. Like with the Japanese city names on there were all actually just called Kyoto, just 1 and 2 and 3.
Right.
Until I figured out like, okay, I actually have to name these songs. And I can't name it Kyoto 1, 2, and 3 because it'd just be a little weird. But I could have done it to make a statement. I would have done it. But I think adding a name to it is just another part of it into which it will just go to the people who listen to it and like saying, wow, I like this song because I connected with it because of this is how I feel.
Yeah.
If you just give it some weird name, I don't think anyone's going to want to, not that they want to, but it's not going to connect like it would normally.
You're applying standard marketing to your stuff,
Yeah,
but it's themed around you, which it should be. So I had a thought, and I'm like, what would your next track sound like if you just came home from a vacation in Japan?
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yes. So
that's
the question. So if you're talking about those 3, I will say this one, Kyoto Arcade, is honestly probably one of the favorite songs I've made.
Right.
Thus far. So let me see if I open up this. Oh, Let's not do it that way. Let's do it this way. And so you guys get to see all the pretty colors of me just going crazy with just sampling. And one cool thing about this, and this is for a lot of, I guess, creators out there musicians who want to like say, how do I do this? Where I go to, I would say, reach out to people. If you can't reach out to people, surprisingly, see what you can get your resources on. For what you'll hear in the beginning, there's a few voice samples in there. Personally, I'm not much of a singer myself,
Yeah.
and I don't have the correct tone of voice I wanted to put in the music. And so I literally went to Fiverr, looked up, hey, I just need a voice actress for this part,
Wow.
and just said, hey, can you say these phrases for me? And pretty much the whole idea of this song, when I start playing it now, was you hear it. Actually, that's the wrong side. There we go. And so the whole idea for this was like, I feel like it's going to be kind of like an anime arcade room.
Yeah, I get that from it.
That we get here. And so, and this is the future funk that I'm talking about, where you kind of hear that, like, it's like we got that house music in there. And then once the actual melodies I got start coming in, you kind of get
Round
that, like,
one.
Disco. It's like an arcade fight. So I was like,
yeah.
I asked the voice actress, like, hey, can you say like fight, ready, round one, game over for me? And she's like, sure. And and this right here, and actually I'll just pause it right there. I love using sound effects. Foley, because for my major, I'm actually a broadcasting and communications major, and I've studied sound. I started making music when I was like 13, just for fun. I started studying sound, I think, actually around the same time. I was a sound guy for my parents' church ever since up till now. I still been at my parents' church doing sound. And so I've always just loved messing with sound. One of my favorite projects was I got to work at a horse ranch, and I literally just took Foley for like hours and just got to mess with it. So if I can always add a cool effect in there, even if it just makes the song 5 seconds longer than it needs to be, I'll just throw it in there. I was like, I really don't mind, because it just adds flavor and texture to
it
the song.
does. Yeah.
So let's run it back so you get to hear it actually again for you guys yourself.
I love that.
So we got that like techno vibe going in there with a disco.
Yeah, absolutely.
For these vocal parts, I took a whole bunch of like sample hip hop records. What is it like? And right here is actually kind of like a Daft Punk style, where I found it on there. I think it's them actually, but somebody using a vocoder. And so we get that it's all around just like a really just a good vibe to it. It's like,
it is.
Got home from your trip from Tokyo, and you're still feeling, a little, I wouldn't say homesick, more like vacation sick.
Right?
Anything. But it's just a really uplifting song. And this, I guess, comes out to where this is the Quarantine Take 2 album.
Yeah.
In which we get to, things are finally going up, everybody's are taking the mask off and getting vaccinated. And so it's a good time. But this right here, the whole entire vocal part was my favorite part to do.
Yeah.
So I love just chopping stuff up and just stuffing it into it. But it's like right along. Like I'm even speechless myself. I just love listening to it.
Yeah.
And the interesting part of it for myself is, as much as I am proud of my music, I don't listen to my music a ton. This is just one of the songs where I just keep just always listening. It's one of my favorite songs. It's such a good time.
This is amazing.
Thank you. last vocal sample.
Nice. Game over. So the voice actress, did she get a chance to hear this music afterwards, like what she did?
I think so. I like literally waited until it finally got uploaded and everything like that, and I literally sent her a message on Fiverr saying, because I said to her earlier, like, hey, this is gonna be from like a album. This was for, so you get context of what you're doing. I sent her a song that I had for inspiration from, and I said, hey, you know what? I'll send you, just all the links for like that and whatnot when it's done, so you get to hear it. I messaged her. Probably think I this released on the 14th. I think on the 16th, I remember the messenger, so I'm hoping she got to listen to it. I haven't
Yeah,
really heard back 'cause I think, she's busy doing her voice actor stuff. And so,
bro, that'd be cool,
I have to look
man.
back at that. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, golly, I don't even know what to say, man. I'm just seeing the process. I mean, I know it got a little fuzzy on some of the screens, so
Yeah.
people couldn't see the super detail, but that's you get the gist of it just watching it tick by and just the process. Now, what if you're willing to share that is what programs and stuff do you use to do this? Like, if somebody were to start, where
Yes.
would they start?
So if I were to show you, and actually let me even do this better for you. Let me mess with the screen share just a little bit so you can actually see everything I get to use even better. And so if I let me share, change windows, and let's just do it this way. So you can even get even like bigger detail. So we have all of which is what is this? Let me see here. There we go. This is Ableton Live. I actually made this original on Ableton Live 9. I finally upgraded and went to Ableton Live 11. And this is something for people who are just making music. Like, you do not need the best equipment to, make your songs.
Yeah.
You just need to start somewhere and have something you can do it with, whether it be Audacity, Fruity Loops, Acid Reaper is the name of the program. Reaper. Just do that on there. When I first started, I used this weird online DAW that is now gone forever and can never be found again. I think they got sued.
Oh
But
gosh.
my first album, Classics, is actually a lot of the songs are made on that.
Yeah.
And so like I didn't have like I barely had anything like I could do with, but I was able to make it work. So I use this DAW, for instance. I use all my stuff I use is actually just free, honestly, because I don't really want to pay for it. For instance, I have this thing called wait, that's the wrong one. Satellite's actually just another thing. It's going to come up in a second if it loads. But Satellite, you can use this program to work with other people online. I have one song that I was working on one point where I did somebody online with. But Serum is actually the only one I ever paid for. And Serum is actually used in a lot of these songs for a
Right.
lot of the synthesizers I use. So if I were to open it up and let me just do this because you don't want to hear how harsh that is. But actually, let me see here. Where is it at? If it does it, I don't think it wants to do it. Yes. So this is Serum right here. Serum is a plugin actually, and these allow you to just do a whole lot of sound effects right here. Specifically, it's a synthesizer to which if you guys listen to who is it? I want to say Daft Punk again, but I don't think everyone's gonna know who Daft Punk is. But if, for instance, The Weeknd is a great example, a lot of his music uses synthesizers in there.
Right.
And so you get to hear that all kind of that tone. And I'm able to honestly, these are just called waves. And it's just another deep music thing I can get into, but we don't have time for that.
Right.
But there's so many waves in there into which I can manipulate the sound of it to have almost just about universally any sound I want. So we have this right here. So it's a little bit deeper, more hollow. Where if I were to go back and do like this, it's a little bit more harsher in there. And I just use this for all the music and these songs that I use where I just want, instead of using a piano, I want to use a synthesizer. This allows me to actually like be a little bit more free to do whatever I want. So for
Gotcha.
instance, back to Millions, I used to synthesize in there. I didn't want a piano, but I wanted something a little bit different than a piano
Right.
in there. And so that's where this came into.
Okay. All right. And for somebody starting out, like, uh, can they just pull free copyright free stuff to just start, or?
Yeah, they can. So for instance, let me see if I can actually show you if I drag this, actually, no, that's not gonna work. But for instance, if you want copyright free stuff, and this comes where you want to probably use a little bit of your wallet, I use Splice. Splice
Mhm.
is a full library of copyright free sound effects, samples, um, MIDI files if you're looking for MIDI files, and even just like instrument sounds. And that's what I use for a lot of it. So a lot of just the drum effects I use, the cassette we heard earlier,
Yeah.
all came from Splice. Even me using Serum, the synthesizer, they have a program in which you can do rent to own. And so instead of me forking over like $600 just to, buy the synthesizer, I spent maybe like $12 a month for like 2 years. And
Nice.
since I'm actually using it,
Yeah.
I actually got to use it, and I'm glad to finally own it now. That's my
Yeah.
only thing is, if you're a new person getting into it, look around for free stuff. If you're looking for a free thing, I think it's called Labs. Labs. Let me pull that up. Labs is another program I use in which it was free. It has a whole lot of sound effects, and not sound effects, but a whole lot of piano synthesizers that you can be able to use and claim to make music with. And so if you're looking for something free to start off with, I definitely say start off with Labs. It's a great program to use and just to get you started. I don't want anyone, starting music to have to waste money
Right.
and then get upset and then not want to return to it.
Yeah.
That's the big right. Music should be fun, and
Yeah.
creating something you should enjoy. And that's just my, thing to those who are just trying to get into it, figuring, hey, is this for me? Even when it comes to, you see my turntable next to me. This thing costs maybe about like $600.
Right. Yeah.
But so far I've been DJing since I was like 16. And so
Yeah.
I knew that I got into it. I loved it. And I started off with a very cheap one. I spent $250.
Yeah.
It was simple, didn't have all the bells and whistles. It's just for, will I enjoy this?
Yeah.
And that's what I started off with. And then, it's what I make money off of, when I'm not actually working and doing gigs, for weddings and parties. I am now, I'm proud of it. I can actually, be okay with saying when I'm probably going to buy another one coming up in the fall, probably buy like another $600, where it's like, I feel confident that I can at least use this and not feel, bad that I'm wasting money.
Right.
That's
Right.
my offering to people that when they start off, be cheap, honestly, but don't be cheap where it's gonna make you have a bad experience. But be frugal is the correct word I want to use.
Right. Yeah, honestly, it's the same thing with streaming. When we try to tell
Oh
people,
yeah,
just stream, just start streaming, get
just start
OBS,
streaming.
do your stuff, lower your settings or something, down frame
Hmm.
it if you have to. Just start for
Just start.
nothing. Use your headset mic if you have to, because I know some people that's all they do. They don't have a nice
That's all.
Yeti mic or anything. And
Yeah.
then as they start getting into it, they're like, you know what? I'd like to get a better microphone. So they get it piece by piece. Like there is not many people out there who go, you know what? I'm gonna go stream or I'm gonna go mix music. Let's go spend $20,000 or something or 10,000.
Yeah.
Nobody does that. Nobody
No
does
one
that.
does that.
All
Like if
right.
anything, some people might get a little, a little extra with it, and might just buy, a stream deck and just then don't need it. But no one goes out and spends, like a whole 20K just to say, I want a full this, and then they hate it, because there's at least a bit of common sense in there. I would just say, if anything, when you're starting off, be smart with the, if you're starting off streaming, don't buy a stream deck immediately. I'm pretty sure you don't need it. I don't need it. I thought I needed it, but I don't, and I still don't need it. It's nice to have, but
Yeah.
when you're getting those stepping stones in there, just play it smart, play it cool, and just see what you like. Who knows, if when you make music, you might not like using synthesizers. You might like doing something else. You might actually buy, you can see it, my head's in the way, but you might actually have a piano, a MIDI keyboard over there. And you might prefer that instead of a digital one. So that's my suggestion.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, absolutely right. Start small, work your way up. And the great thing about that with music, with streaming, with anything, as you say, you know what, I kind of like this. I kind of like this. You want to purchase better equipment so that you can do
Hmm.
better. And all of that bears down into you're getting better equipment so that you can express yourself more for what's in your
Yeah,
head and not be as limited by the technology. And if you just
truly.
do that from the bottom up rather than just trying to start at the top, with all the equipment, you're going to appreciate it more. You're going to understand how to use it more. You're going to understand all its quirks. You're going to have technical issues. Believe me, you're going to have technical issues. But you're going to solve them one step at a time. And when you get to the point like where you're at with your music, with your streaming, where I'm at with the streaming and the video editing, you're going, I understand how to do this. If I have a problem, I know how to fix it. If I want something to sound a certain way, I know who to talk to. I know where to go to. You build slowly, and that's the whole point behind it.
That's the right thing. And like, even just from personal experience, I only have 2 pianos. The big one over there was a gift. Both of them were actually gifts.
Yeah.
The big one over there was given to me for free. The other one was actually a birthday present because I was stepping up from using my actual keyboard, like my literal mouse and keyboard, not a keyboard. And since I can't really play piano, it's like I'm happy with what I got. I'd rather buy the digital stuff because that's what I know I actually use, because that's what I taught myself. So it's like, hey, learn what you like, and and you just go from there.
Yeah, lean into it. Which leads us to the last point is, I'd love to know, like, in your head, let's try to set up a scenario either for streaming or for a movie or anything, and then using your music, you set the stage for us and then play that music. And you set the stage without the music by telling us about it, and then you play the music with the same stage set, and kind of we'll do a brief little discussion of how it changes. Like, you tell us how that changes the tone. What do you have in mind?
Okay. Yeah, so let's see here. Let me think of what can we do. I have an idea. So this song is another like one that I worked on, I think, at least for a while, and it didn't even get to make it into album 1.
Yeah.
And the idea behind this one, I feel like, is your I don't know if anyone's gonna get the term, but like, if like a D&D player, you're with your party, you finally got into a new town, you don't know anything about it, yet you are still having to get equipment so you can get onto your next destination. You're in a bazaar or a marketplace, for instance. And so it's not like you are in any sort of danger, but more so it's just like it's like LA traffic, New York traffic is just coming and going. You're stuck there and you're having to, figure your way through all what is going on here. And so I start playing that for you. And so you're like in this new area, it's foreign to you, you get what a marketplace is, but also it's not home. And so with that term here, so it's like, so when I made this song, for instance, it was there's a whole lot of instruments in this actually. There's a Ngoni, which is a West African pretty much guitar, if anything. And so when I started making this, it was like, you know what, I wanted to mess with it a little bit. We have a whole lot of just different drums in here. We have bongos, kick drums, cowbells, and chimes in this.
I need more cowbell.
That's what we need more of. I always love adding cowbell into songs if I can. I like sneaking in there a few times.
Yeah.
And so in here we have like a simple piano, and then I also decided to put in, if you can hear in the background, there's actually like a violin, which you are a string player at heart at one point. It's deep in there, but
yeah, it's deep in there.
The piano. Yeah. And then, for instance,
okay.
I want to add a little bit more, like, just thickness to it.
Yeah.
So I threw, a whole bunch of 808s in there because I love 808s. Can't help myself when it comes around to them. And then there's another song that also I think would even like represent this even more if I could remember where it is. That's the only issue. But I don't think it's somewhere deep in the hard drive, and we don't have time to dig up that stuff. But if anything, I'll give you all the information and show you guys all that too.
No, so I can hear this, like, no joke. I can see a party walking in, and this is kind of playing, bustle, everything going around, just stuff happening. And we're just, you're seeing that the marketplace going here. You're seeing a guy running with a fish over here. You're seeing soldiers walk by. And this sets the theme for, hey, it's not doom and gloom, but it's busy.
It's busy. It's like, it's not a sad place. It's just like, if you stay still, you'll get lost. Easy.
Yeah. There's just
This is a very simple one. This is another small thing is, if you're music makers, keep it small if you can. If you know what you're doing, make it like a whole bunch of them. If I were to quickly, I think, show you a song that has a whole bunch of stuff, even without even play it, but just a whole lot of work in it. There's some of them where it's like, this is like only about probably 8 tracks. I've had one, I think, about 20 tracks on there because it's just so much stuff going on all at once.
Yeah.
And so that's, a lot of people think, oh, I need more. So it's not enough. It's like sometimes less is more.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of songs where, like, even like probably songs you guys know and listen to, probably only have like 5 tracks in there.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day. So, just keep it straight and simple. And that's some of my favorite things. That's a challenge I make myself within reason. Like sometimes, it doesn't have to be 5 tracks. Sometimes it could be 6, 7. But, sometimes I get worried. It's like, oh, dude, it's not enough in there. I need more. And then sometimes I tell myself, hey, Awa, no, you're good. You don't need more than that. Just keep it like right here. Just adjust the audio, mess with the equalization in there. You don't need to add more stuff in there because then it gets too busy, gets too loud.
Right.
So sometimes there's a lot of self-restraint when I make music.
Yeah. Well, man, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time. Again, you are the first returning guest for Arc of Fire Gaming Network interviews. Thank you.
I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, man. So tell everybody where they can find you, where they can get hooked up with your content. Tell us about it.
Yes. If you want the simplest way to find me, it's where everything is posted, where I think almost all my social media links are on there. Just awabeats.net. That's AWABEATS.net. You can find everything on there. If something's coming up on there, it'll be listed on there. All my stuff that's currently out is on there. All just my main page, even my Twitch, my YouTube, to which hopefully I'll start pushing more stuff out there. My YouTube just has all my music on there if you ever need to find that. That's on there if you don't want to, spend stuff for a subscription. But allbeats.net has your one-stop shop for everything you need to find about me.
Yeah, and you'll find all those links in the description. Head on down there. And again, thank you, sir.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
We will we'll see you next time. We're definitely going to have another chat, my friend.
Look forward to it.
All right, brother. We are going to call this, and we'll see you guys next time on another Arc of Fire Gaming Network adventure into interviews. Later, Gators.
I try to do that through the MP. It's like when I first got the MPC, a friend of mine, Amp Filler, who actually plays with Funkadelic, taught me how to work the MP. When he taught me, he taught me how I would teach the next person. It's like he taught me that. Don't
all of the way down.